With me today, I've got Rob Durant, and we're talking about his book, The Social Enablement Blueprint: Stop Pitching and Start Selling. Rob, I got this, and I know I actually got a copy before it was available, and it is a really, really good book. You spent a lot of time on this and invested a lot of effort. And I know you're very modest, but it is a very, very good book. It's the best book on sales I've read this year.
I appreciate that.
And I highly recommend people go out and get a copy. And we're going to dig into it in more detail. Before we do that, Rob, where can we find you?
Well, first of all, thank you for that high praise, Tim. I appreciate it. People can find me on LinkedIn, of course. If you're going to write a book on social enablement, you should probably be social. And you can also find me and more information about the book at socialenablement.pro.
Fantastic. And we can buy a copy of this on Amazon, can't we?
Correct. It is currently available on Amazon and soon other book resellers as well.
Brilliant. So, Rob, what is social enablement?
I'm so glad you asked, because I don't think many people have heard the term social enablement before this book came out. Social enablement is the strategic and practical leveraging of social media to drive more opportunity. And in particular for sales teams, drive more revenue. Social enablement is also the process for those who support sales, be that leadership, the enablement team, marketing, HR, to better enable sales to, again, leverage social media for driving opportunity.
Because we've heard of like sales enablement and revenue enablement. I mean, what's the difference between social enablement? It's just like we're trying to putting words in front of enablement all the time.
Well, there is some of that, but the idea for social enablement for me was when I was first introduced to the Ignite social selling and influence methodology. I saw that this was really something that not only could an individual embrace for their own benefit, but myself, with my background teaching, training, sales enablement, now revenue enablement, I saw tremendous opportunity for those in those types of roles to support others in their social efforts. So that's really what I wanted to focus on with this book. Yes, I wanted to introduce the Ignite methodology to those that weren't already familiar with it. But let's be honest, Tim, you've done a great job of making people aware of that. What I wanted to do was that plus one, add my take, which was, here's how those of us who are teachers, trainers, helpers, enablement, to do just that. And in the process, I realized it's not just enablement that can help the sales team. Sales leaders have a significant role that they can play in this process. Marketing and sales can work well together like they haven't before when they work strategically through social. Not just, here's the post from marketing, can everyone go and reshare it? HR has a tremendous part to play in this. Yes, HR can, on a continual basis, support sales teams in their efforts to sell more. So that's what I was trying to bring to light with this.
So when you talk about social enablement, you're talking about is this social selling, or what is it?
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify. I balk at the term social selling simply because when people hear social selling, I feel like that term has been bastardized. Too many people have been the victim of social selling. We're all familiar with the pitch slap. I connect with you, and then I pitch to you immediately. And oh, I must be social selling. Or I post on social media all about me, as if you care about me. Or I post on social media all about my product's latest update, as if you care about my product's latest update. None of those things talk to your prospects, talk to your potential employees, talk to your peers about the things that they care about. So that's why I personally have not embraced social selling nearly as much as I like the term social enablement, because yes, at the organizational levels, so many departments can support and therefore enable salespeople. But I believe this process is also enabling the individual at the individual level to be approachable, be sociable, and be generous. It's really taking what Dale Carnegie taught us 85 years ago in How to Win Friends and Influence People and showing us how to leverage today's social media platforms to do exactly that.
We'll come back to those in a minute. And I agree with you. It is very much taking what Dale Carnegie said, and moving it from an analog into a digital platform. You talk about in the book about a shift in the buyer's journey. Talk to us about that.
Sure. I think it's drive, but it may be to sell as human. Both books are from Dan Pink, and
Yep.
for me, they are the yin and yang of selling.
So, To Sell is Human by Dan Pink is a brilliant book.
And if you're going to read that, you should also read his book Drive, because it talks about the motivations behind, well, not just selling, but humans in general. Anyway, in one of those two books, he talks about the old way of selling that was based on the asynchronous information. That is, sellers had more information than buyers. Therefore, sellers had the upper hand. That is not the case today, and it hasn't been for a while. Sellers have as much, sometimes even more. Buyers have as much, if not even more, information than sellers these days, because not only do I know all about your specs and your reviews, I can get referrals either publicly or privately from my network, which is information that you as the seller do not have insight to. So now buyers have the upper hand. And because buyers have been the, again, I'll use the term victim of social selling, buyers have indicated a preference to no longer involve salespeople in the sales process at all if it can be avoided. 75% of buyers have indicated they would prefer a seller-free experience. And research has shown us that we've gone from buyers are 57% down their buying journey before they interact with sales. That was a statistic from CEB, now Gartner, that was developed about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Information that just came out in a 6th Sense report in January tells us now buyers are 70% down their journey and generally have their decision made before they reach out to a sales team for really the transaction. If the decision is already made before you as a seller can get involved in the process, how can you possibly sell? But we have to sell. Nothing gets done until a sale is made. So if we're looking at not being involved in the sales process until 70% of the journey has elapsed, why are we waiting for the sales process to even begin? Why are we waiting for the buyer to begin their journey before we connect with them?
Yeah, it's a strange. I can't understand. Ever since the beginning of me being in sales, it's about taking control of the sales cycle, and social just gives you that ability to take control from the beginning right through to the end. And I've never really, it's one of the things I still don't understand, why people are being so passive in the sales process and allowing buyers to basically take control. Whereas, from the beginning, I was always told you have to control the sales process.
You have to control the sales process. Right. Well, the buyers are kind of aware of that as well. And maybe they don't like the thought of being controlled.
I would agree with that. But being able to do it subtly. So you then talk in the book about the Ignite methodology. What is social media, and then tell us about that.
So the Ignite social selling and influence methodology is 3 basic tenets. It's be approachable, be sociable, and be generous. And nowhere in there do you hear the ABCs from Glengarry Glen Ross. Nowhere in there do you hear always be closing. In fact, I would say we have new ABCs. Always be connecting. Always be communicating. So what we mean by be approachable, if you're going to have a presence on social platforms, that presence should work while you're not on the social platform, just as much as it should work while you are on that social platform. It should have a profile that allows people to get closer to you. You, not your company, not your job, but you, what you stand for, who you are, what you believe in. Because people like buying from people they like. Allow them the opportunity to get to know you, get to like you, and then some might even buy from you. Be sociable is just that. You have to put yourself out there. Most of us have what I like to call a legacy network. Our social networks are built up based on jobs that we've had and people we've connected with when we were in those jobs. And while that is great, that's your core network, it's highly unlikely that anyone that you're connected with from a previous job is going to buy what you're selling now that you're in a new job. It's possible, but it's not likely. And then the other elements of that network are your friends and family. And sure, you can sell to your friends and family as well, but for those of us in sales that need a constant pipeline of activity, you're very quickly going to run out of opportunity if you're relying on just your friends and family and just your legacy network. Rather than waiting for opportunity to come to you, go out there and seek opportunity. Intentionally connect with those that have similar interests, similar industries, similar roles, not with the intention of selling them anything. Sales may come through that, but with the intention of connecting with them. As you know, Tim, I'm an adjunct professor at Northeastern University. I teach marketing, intro to marketing. And I love telling my students the secret to success, as though anyone could know what the secret to success is.
And you're going to tell it. You're going to tell it to us.
I will share this secret right now, but don't tell everyone.
Okay, it's us. It's our secret. Okay,
just us. The secret to success is not just about what you know. Now, imagine telling a room full of college freshmen that have worked so hard to get to this prestigious university based on over a decade of what they know. And I just told them, that's all for naught. And they roll their eyes. Oh, here it comes. But don't worry. It's not simply about who you know either. It's not just the good old boys network. It's not just nepotism at work. Success in life is about who knows you for what you know. Your job then is to make sure more and more people know you for what you want to be known for. And the best way to do that is to be proactive in terms of connecting with people, helping them get to know you, helping you get to know them, building these relationships. Again, hearkening back to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
And that's it. That's all we need to know.
That's the secret.
That is the secret of success. Now, in the book, I mean, you've talked a lot where I can see this social enablement would work well with salespeople. Social selling, it's about pipeline and deals and that. But you also talk in the book about social enablement is beyond sales.
Absolutely.
So explain to me what you mean by that. Is that employee advocacy, where we just take brochures and throw them out of social media and hope that something will happen?
No, quite frankly, no. Social enablement for HR, for example. One of the responsibilities of HR is recruiting. Another big responsibility is retention. Recruiting is done by getting the job description, posting it on a job board, and going through an elongated interview process. It's time consuming, it's costly, and it has a high level of failure, especially in a sales role, where 25% turnover is the acceptable norm. Imagine an organization that never had to post another open job. They didn't have to post that open job because people were clamoring to work for that organization. But at the same time, not many people were clamoring to leave. If I understand you and your organization, your culture, and the things that you believe in, the things that you support, the things that make it attractive for me as an individual to want to work there, HR has a job much easier than what they're currently doing vis-a-vis recruitment and retention. But I want to take it outside of the organization for a moment as well. Let's look at the other side of that coin. So many of us have worn the open to work badge, myself included. While I can't do anything about you never having to look for another job, things happen. If you are constantly working on being approachable, being sociable, and being generous, when those times in your life come about that you do need to reach out for some help, because you've been generous, because you've met so many people by being sociable, and because you've got an approachable profile, it becomes a lot easier to lean on your network to help you land that next opportunity. Again, success is about who knows you for what you know. And because you've been working on who knows you and the fact that they know you for what you know, it becomes a lot easier than to suddenly find yourself looking for work and saying, oh, gee, I better start building my network. The best time to plant an apple tree is 10 years ago. The second best time is today. If you find yourself in that situation today, yes, it would have been great if you've been working at this for a while, but that doesn't prohibit you from starting now.
And I think it's a wherever you are in your career, having a network is so important. It always
Absolutely.
has been the case. And I've seen so many people that have been laid off and then they go, oh, I wish I'd done that, because it's always like priority number 4 and you never get to it. You have to make time for it.
Exactly.
Rob, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your new book, The Social Enablement Blueprint, Stop Pitching and Start Selling. So if I wanted to buy a copy of this, where could I find it?
It is available on Amazon, and you can find a link to it at socialenablement.pro.
And where can people find out about you?
Easiest place to find me is on LinkedIn, Rob Durant. You can also find me at socialenablement.pro.
Rob, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your new book. As I said, I loved it. I think it's a great book. It's the best sales book I've read this year. I mean, I was looking forward to reading it, and I wasn't disappointed.
Tim, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much for coming on today.